Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your Commish with another Gatorade Fantasy Football Podcast update. Are y'all ready? All right, let's go get it. What? Say what? Does our podcast have walk-up music? Yes, it does. All right. I was actually after week one, I was hit up by Zimmer Tracks on YouTube. He said, hey, if you like my music, subscribe and like this and that. He makes a bunch of tracks for free actually, and he said use it if you want for whatever you're doing with your videos, and just make sure you give a shout out. So uh, if you want to check it out, link will be in the bio. They have pretty cool tracks. I had about five or six to choose from, but decided on this one. You know, I think it gives our podcast a little life. I like it. Hope you guys do. But yeah, let's move on from that. But oh yeah, thank you Zimmer Tracks for the amazing intro music. Truly appreciate it. Now on to the rest of the intro. Aaron, no. It is a sad day for football. Yes, losing Dalvin Cook sucked. Yes, losing Allen Robinson and Greg Olsen sucked. Of course, losing OBJ sucked. Even losing little Danny Woodhead sucked. But Rodgers, A-Rod, discount double check, the NFL's golden child. Damn you, Anthony Barr. Oh, I did read somewhere that conspiracy theory has Barr injure Rodgers on purpose to make room for his old college teammate Brett Hundley to get a chance. And if that is so, damn you, Ookla, for taking him away from us. How dare you rob him? But alas, we must move on. Week 6 is in the books, and the playoff picture is getting clearer. If you're still deciding on what to do for the season, now may be the time to start making moves for either the playoffs or next year. This week on the podcast, as usual, we have injury news, an extended game review section because of the smaller trade section, and an overall view of how the season is going via power rankings. Yay! Alright, let's move on to the injuries. Alright, as I stated earlier, injuries. Aaron Rodgers with a broken collarbone, pretty much out for the rest of the season, most likely a few months. If they make playoffs, might be back for that, but it is his throwing shoulder, so we do not know how he will react to that. Uh, Hopefully he comes back healthy because, it is Aaron Rodgers, our golden child. But we'll see what happens. We also had Jameis Winston with an AC sprain, joint sprain, in his throwing shoulder, so he's been out. Trevor Siemian, shoulder injury. It's not a good week for quarterbacks. For running backs, we had Leonard Fournette actually sprain an ankle. Supposedly looked bad, but could have gone back in. Not sure. No injury no injury marker on his player profile. For wide receivers, we had both Bronco receivers, Emmanuel Sanders and Demarius Thomas, have lower leg injuries. Thomas supposedly he's hasn't missed a game, I don't think, in his career, or if he has, maybe one or two, but he plays through injuries usually, so his wasn't that serious, probably fine. Emmanuel Sanders, on the other hand, not so good. It looks like he was already ruled out after the injury for the next week. Uh, Doubt he's gonna play for maybe 3 weeks. I'm guessing 4 weeks. It looked really bad. Incidental contact with Landon Collins while he was diving for a pick. That looked painful. And we also have Golden Tate out with a shoulder injury. Oh, Demarius and Golden Tate. Those are both of Angels wide receivers. But yeah, he's supposedly going to be out for a while. And that hurts that offense because, who else are they going to give it to? But those are all the major injuries that I found this week. Let me think. Was there anybody else? Nope. Just as I thought. Nobody else. Alright, let's move on to the game reviews. Alright, for our first game review, we have Bargain Guns at Slight Work with a score of 74.4 to 130. Ouch, Trade drops another game. There's talent on the team, and hopefully he can pull it together. He had Cam Newton, Zach Ertz play well on Thursday Night Football. It was all negated by Jonathan Stewart's negative .04 score. Didn't help. He still scored 34 with those guys. Gilly and the Tar Heels all underperformed. And Gilly's in the doghouse after a fumble. What a fall from grace after such a hot start to the season. And it is actually the breakup of the Tar Heels as T.Y. Hilton was traded off this squad. We'll see how Trey fares for the rest of the season without without one of his bigger potential guys. As for Manny, another huge game, dropping 130 this week. Teal Jesus, Antonio Brown, and Gronk all had big weeks. Do we call him Teal Jesus? Leonard Fournette? Adrian Peterson was Purple Jesus, right? And he's the second coming. He's Adrian Peterson 2.0. Teal Jesus. I like it. That's what I'm calling him. And also, Jordy losing Aaron Rodgers could hurt. From what I've heard, he has averaged 18 points a game with Rodgers and about 15 without him. So we'll see what happens. Brett Hundley, that bastard, could still be good for fantasy for him, especially if he's their best possession receiver. Alright, on to the next one. And the next game, we have Tasha Rain at Pocket Dogs with a score of 73.5 to 142.3. See, if you thought the other score was bad, this is even worse. Jordan almost doubled his score. I don't think having Aaron Rodgers for the whole game would have helped anyways, because, like I said, his score was almost doubled. Jordan was a freight train this week. Losing, talking about Corey's team first, losing Rodgers for the year hurts mucho. Streaming QBs is an option, like I thought. I thought it would have been an option, but with a few other injuries to QBs, the pool could get thinner, especially with buys happening. So I don't blame him for trading for Matt Stafford. It was bad games all around, with the exception of Brayton McKinnon, after years of them wanting to play to his potential, finally does. They tried giving him snaps and snaps with Matt Asiata on the squad, but he just couldn't do anything with it, and now all of a sudden he does. We'll see if it's for real. One thing I did hear about him is that he's 5'9", but he's like 210 pounds, 209, 5 pounds, or whatever. Short, small, but he runs like he's Adrian Peterson. He runs directly at people, so that could be bad. Fuck, Jordan. Corey just lost his best player. He didn't need to rub your ginger balls in his face by almost doubling his score. Everyone on the team scored 10 or more points, except for Zach Miller, who only scored 9.5. This is the second highest score anyone has posted this season, 142 points. It is still lower than my 160 in week 1. But, Houston's defense special teams did great. Even though I heard Clowney got injured, that means they've lost J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, Davion Clowney, and Brian Cushing, that juiced bastard. Oh, that could be bad for that defense, but they had a strong squad. But we'll see how that works out for you. All right, on to the next one. And here we have Josh S versus Josh D. The Battle of the Joshes. This is the closest game of the week, as White Josh lost to Brown Josh on Monday Night Football. Hard Knocks traded away Julio when I bashed the trade. I think Fitz is good, like I said, one of my favorite receivers ever. But Brandon Cooks, I still think he's a bum. But then Julio goes and only scores 10 points, and Fitz and Cooks both outscore him this week. I still stand by analysis. Fitz is nice. Cooks is a bum. If Cooks was any good, he would have scored enough to help you win. But yeah, Watson had another big game. But what do you do with him and Brady? I think after Brady's bye, you look to trade him. But I look to trade one of those guys to actually bulk up your squad for the playoffs, because rolling with two quarterbacks while the rest of your team is kind of thin, It's not that. It's not the way to go right now. As for Del Mundo with the Monday night comeback, Jacoby Beef, Brisket, Brissett, and Rashard Matthews scored just enough for Del Mundo to pull out the win. He had two players play and against each other too, so it was nice that the score was kind of run up. Of course, Le'Veon Bell had a big game again, and Hunt had easily his worst game of the season, rushing wise, for 9 attempts for 21 yards. But he did get like 89 yards through the air, so you always know he has that type of baseline, which is nice. And let's move on to the fourth game. It's actually funny I said that the game review section would be a little bit longer, but I feel like I'm rushing it. We'll see how it goes. Excuse me. For the fourth game, like I said, we have Vitamin D at Evil Doc with a score of 92.2 to 70.9. Actually, I didn't even say the score of the last game. The Josh's game was actually 104.1 to 105.8. Like I said, closest score of the week. Back to the fourth game. Mikhail beat Frank with 92.2 to 70.9. Ooh, fifth win in a row. Him and Jordan both on 5-game win streaks. Woo! Melly G with another huge game. He just keeps on producing. He's one of the best running backs in the league right now, and him along with Devontae and Lev and Hunt and Leonard Fournette, probably David Johnson. Hopefully he comes back. Those guys comprise like top 6, top 7 running backs. That's a very nice running back crew. Even throw in Zeke if he just stops being stupid. You got like 8 legit running back ones that could win you a season when you had like a top 3. Now I feel like that doubled with Hunt, Fournette, and Devontae. But we'll see. Ooh. Anyways, he just keeps on producing, and Christian McCaffrey had a nice game as well, which he actually was able to take advantage of and upgrade him to, like I said, Devontae Freeman. He had Devontae Adams, and losing Rodgers could prove to be tedious, but because he's always relied on touchdowns. I mean, he scored, but will he continue to score with Brett Hundley at the helm? We don't know. But luckily for him, he was able to trade Devontae for Devonta. Does that make sense? He traded Adams for Freeman. Yeah. As for Frank, the team stream didn't work this week. His newly acquired Pat stunk the bed, as did Marshawn once again. At least Kelvin Benjamin led his team in scoring, right? Like I said, maybe it's time to start thinking about getting them draft picks. I think Chris Hogan will still be good the rest of the season. He has Brady's trust. He did decent last year, but I think a full off season and just a full year of Brady being able to play with him allows him to trust him a lot more. I think he'll continue to be the number 1 receiver in New England. And let's go on to the 5th game of the week. Here we have ACLs and Fibulas at Team Darkness with a score of 106.2 to 95.7. This is nice for Reg because despite losing OBJ and Cook, he continues to find ways to win. His acquisition of Julio didn't do much this week, but season-long outlook is a little bit brighter. Plus a couple of trades that he's recently made. I'll be going over those in a little bit. DeMarco finally put one in the bag for Reg. What am I trying to say? DeMarco put this one in the bag for Reg on Monday Night Football, having a bounce-back game, scoring a touchdown. It's nice. Duke Johnson Jr. had his worst game since week 1, but luckily he had the Rams defense and Captain Kirk to keep him afloat. And then I have this written down, but Duke Johnson gets traded, Captain Kirk gets traded. Reg is just a trading machine making moves, Yeah. And we have Carson Wentz for TJ. He is the truth right now. He's playing awesome. He's making Zach Ertz look good. He's making Nelson Aguilar look good. That's nice. He's making Alshon look decent, even though Alshon hasn't gotten injured yet, which that itself is surprising. J.J. had a nice game. No touchdown, but he's looking better. He had 130 yards, against a supposedly improved Atlanta defense. That's something to look forward to at least. I think Lamar Miller will still get better, but he just didn't have that good of a game against a surprisingly mediocre Cleveland Browns defense. And, the Vikings defense scored 16 points for him. But that Viking defense also injured Aaron Rodgers. So I'm glad TJ lost this week. There's a theme emerging, guys. I'm kind of sad that Aaron Rodgers isn't playing. I love him. I don't care that I have Jordy. Aaron Rodgers is what's good about football. I miss him already. I guess we just move on to the 6th game. Get this over with so I can cry. It makes the sad go away. And in the last game of the week, we have Fried Spam and Eggs at Motorboat and Sons of Bitches with a score of 93.4 to 104.5. KTLA the coast. Well, this is actually the best game from Angel in a while, scoring 93 points. He could have won if that Detroit NOLA game wasn't so weird and Breeze scored his actually normal amount, but there's 5 special teams and defensive touchdowns that game combined. That's insane. And Purple Jesus is back. Like I said, Adrian Peterson is Purple Jesus. But what kind of Jesus is he now? Is he the Red Jesus? The Desert Jesus? It doesn't matter, I guess. I'm glad I was wrong about him this week. If he continues to do well the rest of the season, I'll eat crow for thinking he was done. I was talking to Mikhail earlier, and I said, Leonard Fournette is Adrian Peterson 2.0. But what do we say about Adrian Peterson then in Arizona? It's Adrian Peterson 2.5. Adrian Peterson 2.5. Oh, I'm so glad he's good again. And as I moving on a little bit, as I said earlier, Demarius and Tate did well, but both got injured for Angel. That's not good. But like I said, Adrian Peterson did well. For Fred, strong games by his running backs. Howard and Ingram did well, but weaker games by Hopkins and Alshon. At least Hopkins scored a touchdown. That team is going to be weird. It's going to be up and down with Deshaun Watson leading that squad, but Hopkins should still get his. Fred is going through what I believe Reg and myself are going through this season. A nice roster with a mediocre record. At least Reg has a winning record now, but 4-2, 3-3, 3-3. It's like the 3 highest scoring teams in the league with strong rosters, and it's just not all coming together the way it has for someone like Jordan. But hopefully things keep going well for him, because it would be a waste of talent to not have these guys in the playoffs. I do believe that Fred will probably eke into the playoffs the same way I think I might eke into the playoffs, but it's just be careful out there, guys. He has a nice team. And speaking of teams, let's go on to the trades. I actually like how I actually did the trade section last week, where I kind of just ran through things instead of having super long outlooks over everything, because it made it run a little bit faster. Alright, first trade we're going to go over is Mikhail trades Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, and Matthew Stafford to Corey for Devonta Freeman and Evan Ingram. I think it's a nice trade. I've been going after Devonta Freeman for all season long, and he finally gets traded. Mikhail greatly boosts his squad, with the proven Atlanta running back, and is a top 5, who is, I believe, top 5 dynasty wise. He gives up a nice receiver in Devontae and a solid QB in Stafford, but he gets the best player. Corey needed this trade after the loss of Rodgers for the year. And wait, did Mikhail tell his fellow UCLA alum Anthony Barr to injure Rodgers so their fellow Bruin Brett can start? And he can acquire Devonta Freeman? Maybe Mikhail's in on this. I don't like it. Let's just move on to the next trade. Tracy trades T.Y. Hilton, breaking up the Ty Hills, for Devontae Parker and Bilal Powell from Reggie. This is kind of a weird trade because Reggie gets a nice receiver. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to be good, especially when Andrew Luck comes back. Devontae is supremely talented, but Jay Cutler's a joke. Maybe he gets better throughout the season. I think Matt Moore should be starting in Miami. But the weird part, like I said, is that Trey already had Bilal Powell. The second time he's traded for Bilal Powell. Maybe this time he'll use him instead of drop him. Trey? Maybe you should think about doing it that way, huh? Alright, and on to the last trade that we had. We had Fred finally making a trade, who trades Alvin Kamara, Ready Kamara, and Jesse James to Reggie for Ty Montgomery, Kirk Cousins, and DJJ, Duke Johnson Jr. Another move by Reggie. This time he got his third rookie running back. He gives up a lot to get them, but it's understandable. Kamara has top end pedigree. What was it? Did he initially go to Alabama or Georgia, and then dropped out? Then went to a JUCO, then dropped out. Then transferred from that JUCO to Tennessee, who's not that bad still, but I think he initially went to Alabama or Georgia it was, but top end pedigree. He was one of the best in his high school class. And, he could easily be a sneaky three-pool selection, especially with Drew Brees gone and you don't know what they're going to do with Mark Ingram. Ty Montgomery and DJJ give Fred a slew of RBs again. And, instead of consolidating his depth, he increases it. The thing that I see here is that if Kirk Cousins, you can stream him along with Rivers based on matchups for the rest of the season. And I don't know if he was just a throw-on, but if he was, it helps him mucho, in my opinion. Yeah, let's go on to the power rankings. This week's set of power rankings, a few things have changed. Some, not all. In number one, we still have Jordan, still tied for number one actually. Or still tied for number one in record, not number one in power rankings. He, not tied for number one in power rankings, because he is number one in power rankings. He scored the second most points in the season, and he also has the second highest total all year long. It doesn't look like he's going to be slowing down. He actually has a 5-win streak, just like Mikhail. Bye weeks might get him, but so far he is killing it, and there's no reason for me to put anybody else above him. In second in the power rankings, we have Josh Del Mundo. He's also tied for number one, but he hasn't scored as much points. He is the leading scorer in his division with 597, but he is also in the baby division. If he would come to the big boy division, he would actually be last in scoring, because everybody has scored over 600 points pretty much except for TJ. It's sad. Yeah, he would be behind Manny, Jordan, Reg, Josh, S, and Fred would all be ahead of him. So he would be at the bottom of the barrel with his points scored. In third place, we have Mikhail, also tied for first place at 5-1, but not first in the power rankings. The problem with him is he has the 7th most points in the league, which keep him on the bottom rung of the 5-1 teams. I could have put Reg here, but because of his 4-2 record plus his team and the many amount of points he scored, but Mikhail's recent acquisition of Devontae Freeman really solidifies his team. He has the second best running back duo behind Josh's Bell Hunt combo. And I think Evan Ingram's a sneaky pick with nobody else to throw to on that squad except for an injured Sterling Shepard. Ingram can probably do some real damage rest of the season. I think he'll probably end up being a top 7 tight end. And he's lucky right now to be the only one to not have even 500 points scored against him. And luckily for him, the addition of Devontae is probably going to ease the probability of that number going up when the law of averages. Blah, blah, blah. And on to the next one. We have Reggie at number 4 at 4-2. He's made moves to keep himself competing, and now he has a nice strategy for the offseason as well, with a lot of nice rookie running backs, 2 elite receivers. I mean, which way is he going to go? I don't know. Up to him. He continues to score a lot of points while staying relevant for the future. And so, despite the injuries he is enduring, he is someone you have to look out for. In the fifth spot, I have myself, Manny, at 3-3. I am at 500, but I have scored over 100 points more than the next team, with a score of 754 to Jordan's 646, and I have scored over 100 points each game. Most everyone has around 500 points in that range scored against them. Only 4 teams have had over 600 points scored against them, and I am actually one of them. With the other 3 having losing records. Frank's the unluckiest with a 667 points scored against. Luckily, I believe my strong roster can survive 1, maybe 2 injuries, and even like that injury to Aaron Rodgers, with Jordy. So I believe all I need to do is get to that playoff seeding. In the 6th spot, we have Josh S. Losing Julio this week was not the cause of his loss. He lost on a Monday Night Football game when Josh D had 2 players left, so you can't really fault them. But losing Julio and Zeke for his suspension, and then all of a sudden getting Zeke back because the injunction was with a temporary restraining order, I don't trust what's going to happen with Zeke, because in a week or so he could get suspended again, and this time they can't do anything about it, and he, instead of being suspended week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, he'll be suspended starting from week 9, and you don't have him for the playoffs if you make it. So it doesn't give his team much of a strong foundation. I think Fitz will be nice with a more effective running game, with the addition of Adrian Peterson to that squad, but hopefully Kelsey bounces back also. But this loss might be the first of a downward spiral depending on what happens with Zeke. And, we'll see. In the 7th spot, we have Fred, who is 3-3. He is the 5th highest score in the league, and he is at 500. He finally makes a trade to add more depth. Also, diversifies his team talent. So instead of having Ingram and Kamara starting, he has Ingram and Monty. Plus the addition of Captain Kirk is nice. Next week I expect him to jump up. The reason why I have Josh still ahead of him is because Josh does have the better record and still has more points for now. That's, I believe, likely to change next week. In the 8th spot, we have Corey. Losing Aaron Rodgers losing Aaron Rodgers hurts. And losing Devonta hurts, but he recovered decently by acquiring Christian McCaffrey and Matt Stafford to mitigate those losses. He's obviously still trying to win for the season with the acquisition of Stafford, instead of going full tank mode and just getting picks and planning for next season. But at what point do you realize you should just plan for next year? I'm not trying to actually talk shit. It's just I'm just generally asking for a friend. I like Stafford. He could still keep him, I guess, somewhat relevant. If he is in the 8th spot and he can still go on a run, there's still a chance that he can make moves and still win this thing. He is a former champ, unlike 3 of the next 4 people we're going to talk about. Number 9, another former champ, is Trey. He just traded off T.Y. Hilton, breaking up the Ty Hills. But he does get much needed help in the running back forum in the form of Bilal Powell, who he acquired after week 1 and then released him. Like I said earlier, maybe he keeps him this time around. Tyreek Hill and Zach Ertz seem to be his only real steady players other than Cam Newton. I thought there was still a lot more talent on this team until this trade, but you never know what could happen with Devontae Parker and if Forte gets injured again, because Powell was able to actually play well last year. So we'll see how that actually works out for him. But for right now, it keeps him in that 9th spot. And in the 10th spot, we have Frank, 1-5. Oh, sorry, Corey and Trey are both 2-4. Frank at 1-5. The team stream didn't work yet. He's also not scoring a lot. third least, but he has almost 700 points scored against him. I don't know what to do, man. Maybe just time to get some picks and plan for next season, or maybe trade who you got to try to acquire Zeke if it's someone you want to just stash and play with because you're a Cowboy fan. Sorry. Yeah. So let's move on to TJ, who's also 1-5. Yeah, the difference between him and Frank scored a little bit more points. For TJ, bad luck continues to plague him. He has actually scored the second least amount of points, but has the second most amount of points scored against him. It's like, why is he getting picked on? It's usually one or the other. It's either you score a lot of points and just people just keep beating you down, or a bunch of people just uh, I don't know. It's never both. It's never both, and I don't know. I'm sorry, DJ, but there is hope, man, because your opponent this week is our number 12 guy, Angel, who is also 1-5. He's still at the bottom of the barrel of points scored, but he has hope because he has AP 2.5, and he could help him crawl out of the bottom of the barrel this week against TJ. Both TJ and Angel have 4-game losing streaks, and one of those is going to be broken this week. Aren't you guys excited? Let me check. Hold on 1 second. Never mind. I was trying to see if Mikhail and Jordan were playing against each other because they're both on 5-game win streaks. And if the 5-game win streaks were playing each other and the 4-game losing streaks were playing each other, that'd be a pretty fun game. Both games would be fun to watch. But alas, I'm playing against Mikhail, so I guess he's going to lose his 5-game win streak. And Jordan's playing against Trey, so he's going to continue his. But, anyways, that is all for this week. It is about a 32-minute podcast, 33 minutes. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it's kind of long, but let me know what you guys think. Any questions, comments, concerns, as always, bring them up. Let me know. I know I kind of tend to ramble a little bit with a lot of ums and yeah. So I'm trying to work on that, making sure my notes are clear and concise so that way I'd be able to flow a little bit better. But I do read and I do listen to a lot of different podcasts, so I have different little nuggets that I feel like sharing with you guys. I'm not going to share all of them with you guys because I don't want you guys to know my secrets, but I'll share a little bit. But as always, hit me up if you have any questions. Good luck for this coming week, and Mikhail, I hope you lose. Commish out.